He gives us each day our daily bread. So we provide our daily bread to our families. So today we're working on a loaf of bread. And hopefully it's going to be a loaf that will last several days. And if not, then I'm going to show you how to make it in such a way that you will get multiple meals and days out of this loaf of bread. Stay tuned.
Let's bake our bread. Let's get it ready. In the bowl, I have exactly 3.5 cups of flour. And what we're going to do with this is that we're going to, if you look around the table, we've got salt, very simple. There's our flour. We have 1.5 cups of water, and actually that's 1 cup of water, and we have a 1/2 cup of milk, and we have sugar and butter, and that's it, other than yeast. So we're going to put it all together. So here's our water we're putting in. There's our cup of water. Here's our 1/2 cup of milk that we're putting in, and we're going to warm this in the microwave. We're going to add in our sugar, and that's about 1/4 cup of sugar. And we're adding in 2 pats of butter, 2 tablespoons. And we're going to put that in the microwave for about 1 minute, 10 seconds. And I was going to add the salt, but I'll hold off on that. So let's get that microwaved. How's your day going? I mean, baking your bread should be something that you can do every week and keeps it very simple. Now let's work on what's in here. So I'm going to put in 2 teaspoons of salt. So let's put that in, and as you can see, I'm using my pink Himalayan salt. And what we're going to do, we're going to mix that salt up. Now the reason I didn't put it in the water was because once the water is warm, I'm going to add the yeast in, and I didn't want to retard the yeast from doing what it's supposed to do. So I'm just mixing that salt in, and we're going to make this so easy. This is a no-knead bread, and we're going to let it knead itself. So in the center is where we will pour the liquid once it's done. So let's fiddle around and let's get to it. All right, everything is melted, and I'm just kind of stirring it around and letting that butter melt a little bit so that we can start to add the yeast in. Now my yeast remains in the freezer, and so I'm going to add in 1 tablespoon, or is that 1 teaspoon of yeast. So there's our, no, that is a tablespoon. That's right, 1 tablespoon. He's in of yeast, and I'll put the recipe underneath so you can see, because you know I do this so much. I know which spoon it is. I pick it up and I'm good to go. So I have added it in, and this is SAF, S-A-F yeast. And it is just what they call a rapid rise yeast, and I love it. I love it. I buy it in a container that is a bag, and I don't know the exact measurements of the bag because I usually take the bag, empty it into a glass container, and throw it into the freezer. But it is not those little packages that you normally get. So we're just stirring this up and getting all the yeast, making sure that it's in there and incorporated into the liquid. So there's our yeast. I'm going to put it back into the freezer, and to keep it nice and cold. And as long as it stays in the freezer, you can keep it almost indefinitely. So we're going to bring the flour over, and you're going to see how quickly this is going to come together. We're going to pour this into the liquid into the center of our flour and salt mixture. And remember, we've got everything in this milk. We've got the milk, the water, the sugar, the yeast, and the butter all in there. So let's get her done. We're going to pour that in. This is such a simple recipe. And I've got a surprise for you, so stay tuned, because we're not just baking a loaf of bread. We're going to do something special. Now I'm going to use my wooden spoon, and very gently I'm going to incorporate the flour and the liquid. So I'm just stirring around, and you're going to see that this is going to be a very moist dough, very moist. And if you find for some reason, sometimes flour is more drying than others, you can add 1 extra tablespoon of water if you need to, but you shouldn't need to with this particular recipe. It's going to be pretty moist if you do what I ask you to do. So you can see it looks very stringy and very just kind of like a big glob of wet flour, and that's exactly what it is at this point. So get your plastic wrap, or I have even used a grocery bag and just put it right over the container. For this particular container, I didn't have the top handy, didn't worry about it. I could have used the top and just place the top on it, leaving a little air space. And so I'm taking everything, putting it in the sink so it can be cleaned up, because guess what? We're just about ready to let this baby sleep. And that's what it's going to need to do. Now I'm taking just a tiny bit of oil and I'm drizzling it over the top. The reason for that is because I'm going to cover this with plastic wrap, and I don't want my plastic wrap to stick to the dough once it's risen. So we're going to take that plastic wrap, we're going to put it over it, and then we're going to put it in a nice warm place. Now my house is a little cool today, so I'm going to have to figure out the best spot. I can't put it in the oven because I have some other things going on on the stove, and it would just be too hot. So we don't want to kill the yeast. So I am just going to be patient with it. It's early enough that I can put this together. Now, if I were going to do a refrigerator bread, then what I would have to do is to let it rise, still let it rise the first time, and then before the second rise, I'd let it stay in the refrigerator. Now, it's good to go. I have let the oven, let it come to temperature. And this is our bread. I'm going to place it into the oven. I was pretty sure I had showed you a little more than that, but anyway, I have taken it out for the second rise and have rolled it into the loaf and allowed it to rise. So I'm going to place it in the oven, and this is on 350, and I'm just going to let it bake. Now I only used half of the bread, only half, and the reason for that was because of the fact that we wanted to do something else. And this is what we did. We made some cinnamon rolls. How about that? I thought my camera was on, and unfortunately I was not able to show you the actual cutting of the dough and putting it into its bowl, and the making of the cinnamon buns. But you know what? Next week is another time, and I certainly will make absolutely certain that I show you how I did these cute little mini buns. They are precious and they taste delicious. I'm going to give you the basic recipe for the cinnamon buns because they are easy. And actually, the cool thing is that when you make your daily bread, just divide it in half, make part of it for just regular bread usage, and the other half you can put into little mini buns, and they don't have to be many. If you just need 4, you can make 4. But anyway, you will see that I am taking my bread out. It's baked, and we're going to be ready to serve this bread, whether it's the mini buns for breakfast or for dinner. So enjoy.
When you have a delicious dinner, and after that delicious dinner, that's your opportunity to be able to say all the great things that you'd like to say to different members of your family. I try during dinner time not to bring up the negatives, what they haven't done, what they should have done, all those kind of things. It's just not the time, because I want them to have good indigestion, and I want them to leave that table feeling good. Now, I'm going to let you leave the video feeling wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being a faithful follower. Thank you to those of you who are already in the family, and thank you to those of you who are new to our family. We have some people who are following us who are very new, and I am so excited. I'm so glad when that doorbell rings and you come into the kitchen. That just perks me up. I just love it. And I love a kitchen full of people. Now, so anything you'd like to have me prepare, or if you have suggestions of some things that you just want to see, you do it this way and I do it whatever way I do it, and then we combine our recipes. Great minds think alike. So let's pull our forces together. Let's bring our families together, one meal at a time. Because you know that in the kitchen of Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme that we work hard. We love God and family. And we know without a doubt that everything else is just gravy. So, blessings to you and yours. Stay safe, and I'll see you soon in the kitchen.